little kid, like you. I lived in a very, very cold and snowy place. Canada. And I didn't have so many good memories of my school. But before my mother died 20 years ago, she said to me, John, I have to tell you something about when you were a little boy going to school. I lived in a tiny little village, 1,000 people. And my mom said to me, you were the kid that cried all the way to school. I was so excited to go to school, I started crying, she said, when I left the house, and it was about a 15-minute walk, and I was still crying when I got to school. And when I got to school and I was crying, then I'd get into trouble, which I guess may have been an unsustainable solution. Crying and crying. Now, in grade 1, Mrs. McDonald, she didn't have a farm, but her husband was a farmer. Mrs. McDonald. I was trying to make those, this is a long time ago, this is like prehistory, but we did have a school. And they gave me a pencil, a yellow pencil. They taught me how to sharpen it. And they made me make little rows of, they called it baling wire, but little circles that were perfect. And of course, I have some kind of problem in my head, which goes down my arm to my hand, and I couldn't make little circles. And so Mrs. McDonald was having a bad day. Maybe her husband was having a bad day on his farm, but it was a bad day for her. So she took my pencil away, and she said, there's no point in you trying to make little circles, because I can see your only future is holding a hoe. Now, what's a hoe? Yeah, because I lived in the middle of a farming area, and she said to me in grade 1, don't worry about school because you're going to spend your life weeding the fields. And that really affected me. And I had a hard time in school. In grade 11, I was with all the kids, as in a place like Canada, nobody moves anywhere and nothing happens. So all the kids that are born on the same street you're born on are there forever. In fact, if I go back to Canada, they're still there. So I was with all these kids, and at the end of grade 11, I got a letter from the school saying, you failed. You know what failing is? You guys don't have failing anymore, but it meant that I couldn't go to grade 12 with all my friends. And I went home that summer and I said to my mother, Mother, I'm never going back to school because I am going to be completely humiliated to have to sit with all those little kids that were 1 year behind me. Well, my mother made me go back to school. And you know what I found out? I was then with a whole lot of little kids who'd grown up. And it was the best year of my life. And when you're in high school, you're always thinking about girls and girlfriends, and I had a hard time finding a girlfriend in my class. But when I dropped one class, I had so many girlfriends because they thought I was old and interesting. Best year of my life. So I'm now going to give you your homework, and I hope someone can write these questions down because I want them distributed to you. This is the first question. Where does my food come from? Where does my food come from? Not my food, but your food. Where does your food come from? It's really important. The kitchen, right, the refrigerator. Good. Where does your food come from? It's really important. You don't have to answer this now, but it's a question that's so important, because if you have land and you're not growing food, this isn't a question for right now. This is a question you're going to have to answer later when you hand in your homework. The question is, the fact is that if you have land around your house or even a pot in your house, if you're not growing food, you're not part of the future of the world. So if you don't grow food, you don't know where food comes from. Because the highest position you can take as little kids or as grandpas is to grow food and eat food. That's the first question. Where does my food come from? And if it's not coming, some of it's not coming from your own garden, you can do something about that. Second question. Where does my number 2 go? Because guess what? Food goes in the top and you know what comes out the bottom. So taking responsibility for your world, where does it go? And I know it goes round and round and then disappears, hopefully. But this is a really serious question. Is it being composted? Is it being processed? Is it going straight into the ground and polluting the water that you drink with your food? So this is question number 2. Where does my number 2 go? Okay. Simple questions, in and out. But these are really important questions about a sustainable world. Number 3 is, 1, 2, 3. Number 3 is, where does my garbage go? In the bin, right? But then what happens to it? I want you to become garbage detectives. I want you to follow your garbage. Because it's really important, because I saw some of your garbage on the side of the road earlier. Did you know about that? Be careful not to leave your name on the garbage, because I'm a garbage picker, and if I find garbage on the side of the road with your name on it, I'm going to be bringing it back to your house. So never put your name on the garbage. But I'm really serious. You need to figure out where your garbage goes. It's important. And the idea is that if we're not recycling, if we're not composting all the organics, you know what the organics are? Things made by like the gods, let's say. And then there's the inorganics, the plastics, things made by people in Java. Now, the organics go round in a circle. You eat, they come out, you prepare the food, you put them in the compost, you later put them on the garden, and they help grow more food. The organics are important to circle. But the plastics, right now we're dumping the plastic where? In the bin. And the bin is going in the ditch. And the ditch is when the rain comes, goes in the river, and the river goes, you've been on the beach, you know where the garbage goes. It goes to the beach. And it goes in the ocean. So it's really important to do 100% recycling of the organics, make compost. Of the plastics, they need to be 100% recycled, because those plastics are not going away. They're going to be with you. And as when you're as old as I am, trying to find some plastic is going to be very difficult, because it is a you know this word? Non-renewable resource. There's an infinite amount of organics. As long as you grow your garden, you'll have organic. But plastic comes out of oil wells, and there's a limited amount. So where does my garbage go? Are my organics being composted? Are my plastics being recycled? Because the plastic is with you forever, and you might as well start using it. So, next question. We got food, we got waste, we got garbage. What's next? What else do you need? Water. Water, yeah, water's good. This thing is absolutely brilliant. I am in love with this thing, because you put water in the top and perfect drinking water comes out the bottom. Every time you buy a bottle of aqua, you're making a French person happy. Because the French people went to the village up the road, took the water for 1 cent a liter, and then put it in bottles with their name on it, Dan on Aqua, and sold it to you for more than gasoline. Can you imagine that aqua costs more than gasoline? So stop drinking aqua, take your water, put it in a filter, carry one of these. So stop using plastic cups, stop. And that filter will take out all the nasty things that might be in the water. You can actually take water out of the ditch and put it in that filter and then drink it. So water, okay. Who's around you? Energy, somebody said energy, that's the next one. Where does my energy come from? Is it coming from solar power? Is it coming from the wind? Is it coming from the river? Or are you burning oil? Because oil is almost gone. So, energy. But here's a question to ask your parents. And this is where I'm going to get into big trouble. I want you to go home and ask your parents what they do. Because if what they do isn't making a sustainable world and a better future for you, they should stop. Because a lot of parents, and me, I've burned a lot of oil. I used to drive a great big car with a 4-barrel carburetor. And I burned and burned and burned. And that was the moment that came when I had my understanding. And I was listening to Al Gore talk about how much trouble the world is into with the climate. And I said, I have 4 children, and now I have little Nyan, a grandchild, and what can I do? So that was the day I decided to build a school. And wanting to build a school where I was as unhappy as I was, crying every day to go to school, was something wrong with my brain. But I did it. It's here. And it's been here for 8 years, and it will be here for 80 more years. And I'm really, really happy you're here, because the opportunity you're having is mind expanding. As you live in a place, as you learn in a place that is not a box, it allows your brain to expand. I watched the Greenstone presentations, and I was so excited to see these kids who have expanded minds. Because we need, and what we need from you, is to become green leaders. And what's a green leader? A green leader is the person that makes a place, that makes the world a better place for their children. So we have our share of not green leaders running everything. But you guys, I'm counting on you to become green leaders. Welcome to Sustainable Solutions.